All right, folks. So what we have here is this is the Jacob Blake, the state of Wisconsin against Jacob Blake. This is their what they have on him: 5'11", black, he lived 2805 40th Street, whatever. And it's the DA case, everything. Okay, so here's what he had a warrant for whenever they finally when he was over at whatever the lady's house, whatever her name is, and he got the cops caught him. So count one. This is the things he had open warrants for. The above named defendant on or about Sunday, May 3rd, 2020, in the city of Kenosha County, Wisconsin, did intentionally enter the dwelling of LNB. I don't know the acronym, or not an acronym, or the person's name. I guess they're keeping that secret or whatever, without the consent of some person lawfully upon the premises, under circumstances tending to create a breach of peace, contrary to section blah 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 blah. Wisconsin, it's a Class A misdemeanor, and upon conviction may be fined not more than $10,000 or imprisoned not more than 9 months or both. And further invoking the provisions of section blah blah blah, because this charge is an act of domestic abuse, cost upon a conviction would include the domestic abuse assessment imposed under section 973.00055 under the Wisconsin statute, I guess. Count two, third degree sexual assault, domestic abuse. The above named defendant on or about Sunday, May 2020, in the city of Kenosha County, Wisconsin, did have sexual intercourse with LMB without the person's consent, contrary to section 940.225, blah, blah, blah. Wisconsin statute says a Class G felony, and upon conviction may be fined not more than $25,000 or in prison not more than 10 years or both, and further invoking the provisions of section 968.075 Wisconsin statutes. Okay. Because this charge is an act of domestic abuse, cost upon conviction would include the domestic abuse assessment period imposed upon section. Okay, so that would be count three, disorderly conduct, domestic abuse. The above named defendant on or about May 3rd, 2020, in the city of Kenosha, County, Wisconsin, while in a public or private place, did engage in violent, abusive, indecent, profane, boisterous, unreasonably loud, or otherwise disorderly conduct under circumstances in which such conduct tended to cause or provoke disturbance, contrary to section. And then it says Class B misdemeanor. And upon conviction may be fined not more than $1,000 or imprisoned not more than 90 days or both. And further invoking the provisions of section, because this charge is an act of domestic abuse, cost upon a conviction would include the domestic abuse assessment imposed. Probable cause. On May 3rd, 2020, Kenosha Police Officer, Raish, in full uniform and operating a marked squad car, responded to 2805 4th in County, Wisconsin, state of Wisconsin, for a report on an ex-boyfriend who had broken into the residence and stole vehicle keys, a vehicle, and a debit card from the victim before fleeing. Officers Matz and Raish arrived on scene and spoke with LMB. Officer Raish reported LMB for crying and visibly shaking, dressed only in a nightgown. LMB invited them in and explained that the previous evening she had left at approximately 8 p.m. to attend a party in Milwaukee. LMB rented a vehicle for the weekend because she didn't think her vehicle would make it because of mechanical issues. LMB asked her sister Tamara to stay the night and watch her 3 children while she was gone. LMB returned home at about 4:11 a.m. Her sister was sleeping on the living room couch with numerous children, so LMB brought her son with her into the first bedroom down the hallway of the east wall. Then they lay down to go to sleep. LMB stated that around 6 a.m. she was woken up by the father of her children, Jacob Blake, herein known as the defendant, standing over her saying, "I want my S word." As LMB lay there on her back, the defendant suddenly and without warning reached his hand between her legs, penetrated her, with with his fingers, pulled it out and said, and sniff. I guess they took that out and it says, "Smells like you've been with other men." Officer Raich reported LMB had a very difficult time telling him this and cried as she told how the defendant assaulted her, and then the defendant immediately left the bedroom. LMB stated that the defendant penetrating her digitally caused her pain and humiliation and was done without her consent. LMB stated she was upset but collected herself and ran after the defendant out the door and then realized her vehicle was missing. LMB ran back inside for her purse, inside to her purse, which was on the kitchen counter, and checked it, quickly realizing the key to her truck, the 2002 Ford Explorer, a black individual key, and the only key for the vehicle, and her Great Lakes debit cards were missing. LMB immediately called 911, and while waiting for officers, checked her Great Lakes account and saw 2 fraudulent ATM withdrawals on May 3rd, 2020 that she did not make, both at PNC Bank, 3920 Washington Road. Both were for $500 at an unknown time. LMB stated she and the defendant have 3 children together but have never resided together. In 8 years they have been on and off. Jesus. LMB stated that the defendant is unemployed and has no vehicle and would not tell LMB where he was currently living. LMB stated over the past 8 years that the defendant has physically assaulted her around twice a year when he drinks heavily. LMB did not know how the defendant entered the apartment and thought he might have got in maybe through a window. Officer Max spoke to LMB's sister Tamara, and she advised that LMB had left. Redacted. The defendant came to the residence for around 10 minutes, and then interacted with the children. Officer Max asked how the defendant may have entered, and she said one of the children had broken a key off in a deadbolt, so the only way the door locks is latching a privacy chain. LMB stated when the defendant comes over, he usually yells through a window for someone to let him in, and most likely when he showed up, he possibly had one of the children remove the chain latch so he can enter. LMB stated that she had let the defendant use her vehicle in the past, but that he always asked first, stating it was inappropriate for him to go into her purse. NB signed the waiver of temporary restraining order document pertaining to this case. LMB declined to be redacted by the FNE, sheepishly saying she'd been through enough and was still very humiliated and upset about the sexual assault. Officer Raich reports LMB was only wearing a nightgown with no undergarments, so there was nothing to collect of evidentiary purposes. On May 4th, 2020, Officer Cordier met the LMB, who stated her Ford Explorer was returned. The defendant had told LMB's sister Tamara he had parked the vehicle outside of her, Tamara's, residence with keys. LMB stated that she went to Illinois and picked up her vehicle, which was not damaged. Detective Coons reports he followed up with the PNC Bank ATM in Quick Trip, love Quick Trip by the way, and searched footage at the store between the hours of 0500 and 615 on the morning of the incident, and at that time it is believed there was no vehicle evidence based on the information obtained so far. On May 5th, Detective Combs and LMB, who advised she had located her debit card in a rental after she had canceled the card and she did not know who made the transactions. Okay, so I'm just gonna, maybe I'll leave there's the link for it right there, but I'm gonna leave a link for that in the description. Isn't that crazy? So this is who all the people that are hollering and doing all the burning and everything. This is the guy that they're kind of putting up to be a martyr for their movement. Absolutely amazing. Thought I should let y'all know about all that and read a little bit of that off. So comment, like, share, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one. All right.